JP Moss here, Jason Moss. Matter is a wave function of light. It's a physics assertion that matter, solid matter, is controlled by what you consider to be something less powerful or less sustenance. But light, in fact, controls more than time, it controls matter. From my own observations, of course, I'm coming to this rather interesting conclusion. It's a substitution of some of the equations that have already been put out there long ago, and it comes to that conclusion with me, within me, that there's this wave property of light which can strike the electrons in solid matter, and matter itself is its own wave, a form of wave energy. And light is a very special element which travels at a very special speed, which defines the nature of this dimension we're living in. As I said in one video, it is the eggshell of our veil, of our reality, the speed of light. Roughly 186,000 miles a second. It is more than the speed limit of this dimension. It is the veil itself between our reality and higher realities, which I believe are governed by those principles of physics which are based in part on simply faster than light, faster than our speed of light. So it'd be ultra fast, hyperspeed light, hyperparticles, which would govern the matter in the physical makeup of higher dimensions. With that said, I've been asked about my projects I've worked on in the past, as I've been a rather curious student of studying different types of electronic devices that could harness such light. I studied up on the work of Nikola Tesla's spirit radios and the work of artist and researcher E.J. Gold, and following on his work with his quantum amulets, quantum crystal radios that people wear around their necks, which are essentially crystal radios without the earpiece to listen to the music. But they're groundless circuits, so they don't have any ground in them. And because they're groundless, they should be able to be drawing in very ultra high frequencies. In theory, they'd be pulling in frequencies faster than light. And then I took off and studied what some have called pseudoscience, or radionics, and using quartz crystals built into radios, things like this, and tuned with a tuning capacitor. It is believed that they can tune into physical matter itself by means of the quartz crystal, which vibrates at 766,000 cycles a second. So quartz crystals are neither solid nor liquid. Physics, we know that. And radionic people have claimed that building their radionic devices, they can tune into physical matter and energy. That would make sense, since the quartz crystal acts as a resonator. It's something like a diode, an ultra-powerful diode. When wrapped with copper, this rather interesting diode has a tendency to, you can change its vibration, because quartz crystals vibrate. They can vibrate, and they can harmonically vibrate. It depends, of course, on how you do this. So without going too much detail, I retrofitted my projects, the QCR and a radionic project, into this, with their odd-looking radio. This is the on-off for the QCR built to the inside of the device. That's a solar panel, so it's a solar collector and copper plate collector for picking up solar fields, different kinds of light, and radio is a light as well. And this both ties into the quartz crystal on the inside. This is your QCR switch. Throw this switch while this thing is on. And in theory, and in some practice, what this does, it's a hybrid device. You can call it a quantum radionic inductor. So it pulls in faster than light particles from a higher dimension, plasma energy, vortices, through the wave function of matter as it's affected by the speed of light. C pi square speed of light equals y forward slash f, which would be the quantum wavefront of light in our space-time location. In simple, what this thing will do is, in theory, on a small scale, it could do, you may experience an unusual amount of hot, or like a humming in your chest and your arms and your head, as you begin to tune into these frequencies of your matter, of your field around you. The idea being that concentrating while holding this, you can tune into people or objects or different people of the past, the future, perhaps even send messages by some means through a faster than light transmission into a higher dimension, and change history to some extent just by thought projecting that through this quantum radionic inductor, which again in theory you wouldn't really be aware that you've changed history. Funny enough. you may send a message to yourself, you may change it, and then you'd begin to develop memories of long ago, of getting some message from somewhere else. It's called the quantum echo effect, which your brain then begins to pick up those memories, and as if they've always been there. In a sense they have, because you've already sent them. And what ends up happening is you are going to be unaware. Well, what came first, chicken or the egg, is this funny question, and you're not really sure if it was something you sent to yourself using a device such as this, or something that was there before you built it. Timelines merge with this device. This is your timeline merger. This is it. This is the device that will merge timelines without the need of an extremely gifted psychic, or maybe somebody, or by other means. It's a very fancy, sounds a lot of pseudoscience to most, because it walks right over the heads of mainstream science, and perhaps some think this is walking beneath them. On a much grander scale, what it could do, if the components are upgraded, in theory, transit your electron field around the orbits of your atomic structure, of your matter, your solid matter, and move them, phase them out of shift momentarily, briefly, as they're exposed to these quantum fire fields of faster-than-light particles from a higher dimension of plasma. So the quantum fire would surround your matter and envelop you, and for a brief, instantaneous moment move you out of the space-time continuum, and thus transport you, or in your device, into another time, in a sense, a time machine. That's the grand, that's the big, way out there possibility. I'm going to bring you on this equation the most least likely of things that can happen, and even in the least likely, it has an extraordinary function. These sorts of devices are very personal, and it's very difficult unless you are sitting in the room with me to experience it, and then want to go on record and say, yeah, I had that experience too. It's difficult to quantify something like this in today's technology. We can jump ahead of ourselves and build this kind of advanced technology with a little help from some friends, of course, without going into detail, who helped me build it. And what that but we don't have yet the means of devices to sense it. We don't really have sensing equipment. Calibrate this and sense what that is doing, so you can put a bar graph on the screen and here's my proof. So we're jumping way ahead of ourselves and building this device which isn't powered by any conventional means. It has no power source that you're going to be able to, if you take it apart and have a look, you won't find any discernible power source that's going to mean anything to you. Yet you're going to see that it functions. You can see that it's on. You can see that it's functioning. But what baffles you is when you go take it apart, you find there isn't any power source. Now there is a solar cell on it, but that doesn't power anything. It's simply a collector for the quartz crystal. And if you try to take a meter, a voltmeter, and test across certain points to see where, if the quartz crystal's giving you any power, you won't find it there either. It's interesting that the power source this thing is generating can't be pinpointed to any one specific circuit. It's actually all over the place. Some of the sensing equipment I do have can pick up radio fields, magnetic fields, but the direction of which they're coming from, I can't find that. Quantum radionic inductor. Thank you for watching.